All right, let's dive into one of the coolest stories in all of biology, the story of how you became you. We're talking about meiosis and sexual reproduction, the incredible process that makes sure you're a totally unique mix of your parents, not just a carbon copy. Seriously, have you ever thought about it? You might have your dad's eyes, sure, and your mom's laugh, but the way it's all put together, that's completely new. The answer to that amazing puzzle is buried deep inside your cells, in a process that literally shuffles the blueprint of life. So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at our genetic blueprint. Then we'll get into the main mission, cutting the number of chromosomes in half. After that, we'll watch the two big events, what I call the Great Shuffle and then the final split. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by talking about why this whole dance is so incredibly important. Okay, to really get how you were made, we have to zoom way in. I'm talking past your skin, through your tissues, and right into the command center of a single cell. Because that's where the instruction manual for everything is kept. So the most basic instruction is something called a gene. Think of a gene like a single recipe in a gigantic cookbook. There's a recipe for your eye color, a recipe for your height, even one for whether your earlobes are attached or dangly. Now, if those genes are the individual recipes, then chromosomes are the chapters that hold all those recipes together. They're these huge, supercoiled structures of DNA, and each one packs in hundreds, sometimes thousands of genes. And this image? It lays it all out perfectly. You've got your cells, and inside them are the chromosomes. If you could unwind a chromosome, you'd get that famous double helix of DNA. And specific little sections of that DNA, those are your genes, the code that builds and runs your entire body. Now, here's a really crucial point. You actually get two sets of these cookbooks. Most human cells have 46 chromosomes, and they're arranged in 23 pairs. In each pair, one chromosome came from your mom, and the other one came from your dad. We call these pairs homologous chromosomes. And this is where it gets really interesting. These pairs are similar, but they are not identical. They both have the gene for, say, eye color in the exact same spot, but one might have the recipe for blue eyes from one parent, while the other has the recipe for brown eyes from the other. This is a massive source of our genetic variety. Okay, so this brings up a big biological puzzle. If your mom has 46 chromosomes and your dad has 46, how on earth do you avoid ending up with 92? That would be a problem, right? Well, nature has a mission, and that mission is to solve this exact problem. To figure this out, we need two key terms. Most of the cells in your body are what we call diploid. That just means they have two complete sets of chromosomes. That's the 46 total. But the special reproductive cells, like sperm and eggs, are haploid. They have only one set, just 23 chromosomes. And the absolute genius process that pulls this off is called meiosis. It's this very special type of cell division that's designed to do one thing: cut that chromosome number exactly in half. This little diagram shows you the whole goal right here. See, normal cell division, called mitosis, just makes identical copies. But meiosis is different. You start with one diploid cell, and after 2 rounds of division, you end up with 4 unique haploid cells. So how does it actually work? Let's get into the first and honestly the most dramatic part of this whole thing, meiosis 1. I call it the Great Shuffle because this is where all the genetic mixing and matching really goes down. Okay, the show really begins in prophase 1I. The cell has already copied all of its DNA. Now, those homologous chromosomes, the one from mom and the one from dad for each pair, they find each other in the cell and buddy up, side by side. And this pairing up leads to maybe the most important event in the entire process, something called crossing over. While these chromosomes are hanging out together, they literally get tangled up and swap pieces of DNA with each other. Take a close look here. You can actually see the red chromosome and the blue one swapping their tips. This creates brand new combinations of genes on a single chromosome that literally never existed before in either parent. It is the ultimate genetic remix. It's like shuffling a deck of cards to create a brand new hand. So after that big shuffle during metaphase 1, these newly remixed pairs all line up right in the middle of the cell. Then in anaphase 1, they get pulled apart. A whole chromosome from each pair goes to one side and its partner goes to the other. And right at that moment, boom, we have officially cut the chromosome number in half. All right, so now we have 2 cells, and each has half the number of chromosomes. But wait, we're not done yet. We've got to go through meiosis 2. Think of this part as the final split, and it looks a lot more like a standard cell division. So inside each of those two new cells, the 23 chromosomes do it all over again. They line up right down the middle during metaphase 2. They're getting into position for one last separation. And here it is, the final critical move. In anaphase 2, the two identical halves of each chromosome, we call them sister chromatids, are finally pulled apart from each other. This is it, the final split. So what are we left with after all that? The grand finale. We have 4 haploid cells. Each one has just 23 chromosomes. And, this is the best part, thanks to that crossing over we talked about, every single one is genetically unique. These are the gametes, the sperm or the eggs, ready to carry that special blueprint to the next generation. So we've gone through the how, but let's zoom back out and really talk about the why. Why does nature go through this incredibly complex dance? Well, the answer is one of the most powerful concepts in biology: genetic variation. This whole complicated process really has one major goal: to create variety. Between the crossing over and the totally random way the chromosome pairs line up, a single person can produce over 8 million different types of eggs or sperm. That's why you and your siblings can be so different from each other. And this variation is absolutely essential for survival, giving species the raw material they need to adapt and evolve in a changing world. Of course, a process this intricate isn't always 100% perfect. Sometimes an error can happen where the chromosomes don't separate correctly. It's called non-disjunction. This can cause a sperm or egg cell to end up with too many or too few chromosomes, and that can lead to genetic disorders. It's just a reminder of how precise this amazing cellular machine has to be. So, when you think about it, from just a single cell, meiosis creates a nearly infinite number of genetic possibilities, making every single one of us a unique roll of the dice. It's the engine of diversity. Which leaves us with a pretty big question. In a world that's always changing, what does this endless potential for new combinations actually mean for the future of life itself?